Today we're talking about taking care of the caregiver. That's you. My name is Stephanie. I'm with Abundant Life Care Advocates. I'm here to empower and equip you to care well for yourself and for your loved ones, or whoever it is that you're taking care of, whether you get paid to do it or you were told you got to do it, or you're in a situation you had no idea was coming and you're caring for someone. So I'm here for you, and today we want to talk about taking care of you. In the effort to empower and equip you, I want to make sure that you have the tools that you need to take care of yourself. So if you've heard of videos in the past, one of the first ones that I did about self-care, it's like, I know that you hear about this everywhere. We hear about celebrities talking about it now. And it's like everywhere you look. I think even if you're not in some echo chamber of self-care things, you hear about it everywhere. And sorry about my dog. He gets very worried about people walking by my house, which happens all of the time. So self-care, though, it's like maybe makes people kind of want to roll their eyes now because it's talked about so much. It is super important, and I think it can apply to you whether you're some, 65-year-old truck driver man, or if you're a 25-year-old new nurse's aide, or wherever you're at. In all of that, you have to take good care of yourself. And so I want to make sure that you have the tools that you need to do that and know what that looks like, because I don't think that it's just sitting in a bubble bath. I definitely don't think that it means that you have to take some luxury vacation to take care of yourself. And thank God, because that's not practical for really most people. You can't be like, well, I've got to take care of myself, so I'm just going to go take a bath, or I just got to take care of myself, so I'm going on vacation. That's not that those things aren't great ways to take care of yourself, but it's not a way to regularly take care of yourself. So self-care is more about implementing routines and rhythms in your life that make you not need to escape it to enjoy it. So self-care is taking care of yourself in the rhythms of your day. And so one of those rhythms that I want to talk about today, and I want to talk about it because I think it's the most important thing to me. The most important thing in myself taking care of me is meditation. So stay with me, because I would imagine there's some of you who are like, oh yes, I do this all the time. And then there's some of you who are like, I have no idea where to start. So it doesn't have to look like, sitting cross-legged on the floor and humming. And it doesn't have to be yoga. It doesn't have to be who knows what it could be, but it doesn't have to be. And so I just want to give you some ideas of what maybe that looks like, in case you really just don't know where to start. So let's talk about when for a minute, because that's a thing. Because, if we're going to take care of ourselves and we're going to implement routines and rhythms in our life of how to do that, finding a space in your day to do that would be important. So it could be as little as 5 minutes in a day. It doesn't have to be. I would say that I typically have a half hour in a day, but that's been after a long time of making this a part of my day. So 5 minutes is probably a pretty great place to start if you haven't had that place. And maybe that's, you got to be alone when you're doing it. So for me, I've found that I typically have to wake up before my family does, even when my kids were really little and I had early riser kiddos. So waking up early, and maybe that means I get a little less sleep, but I don't ever think, man, I really wish I would have just slept in and not spent this time meditating. So I'm always grateful for it, if that is encouraging, hopefully hopeful to you. And then but maybe it could be, you have to drive somewhere, and you drive to work, or you drive to your client's home, and you have 5 minutes before you have to walk in that door. And maybe even if you don't technically have 5 minutes, you make those 5 minutes because they're that important. So I had a realization, this was years ago, that my day didn't just happen to go better when I've had this time set aside in the morning. It just was better. So it's not that it just happens. It's not a coincidence. I don't believe in them, but it's not coincidence. It actually just goes better. So meditation is about taking your thoughts and focusing them on something. So I love Jesus, but I don't think that you have to do this. I think there's plenty of celebrities that talk about meditating, and it has nothing to do with Jesus, so you can find them. But the Bible tells us to take our thoughts captive and make them submissive, and I think that's exactly what he's talking about, is meditating. So if we're able to consciously take our thoughts and line them up with something and focus our attention, it directly impacts the rest of our day. So some ideas of what meditating might look like is journaling. Journaling, I think, is a great way to really be aware of your thoughts. That can look very different. I have a few different journals, actually. I have a prayer journal that I use in the morning, and then I have like a bullet journal that I use at the end of the day. It's a 5-year journal, and it's really neat to be able to see, like, oh, what did I do 2 years ago today? And I can see that, and I like to see growth in myself and my children and my husband, my family, my life. It's a neat thing to see. So that's kind of my nighttime reflection and meditation. My 5-year journal is. But in the morning, I have my prayer journal during my meditation time, which I call my Jesus time. Again, maybe that's not where you would be going with it. It doesn't have to be, but my Jesus time is my meditation time in the mornings. And so I journal my prayers. I've used the same prayer journal for several years, and I really love seeing those prayers answered, or how they've been answered, or how they've been changed. So that's one idea. You could also have a gratitude journal. You could also just set a timer for 5 minutes and write your thoughts down to get them out of your head. Writing really puts you in touch with feelings, and feelings are important. They're important. They're not great leaders, but they are important. They're important to recognize. So there's feelings wheels. I should put a link to that somewhere. They're really helpful, I think, if you're not sure of how you're feeling about something, or about your day, or about a situation. I like pulling that out and looking at that and journaling about that, and just setting a timer for a few minutes to try to get to the bottom of that. Silence. Just sitting and being, I think that takes a lot of mental fortitude, and it's good. If that's something that you want to try to do, I would like to encourage you to be very gentle with yourself, and your thoughts are going to wander, and that's okay. It's human, is what it is. And just be kind and gently remind yourself, like, this is what I'm doing. I'm sitting in silence and just being for a minute. Reading, I have a scripture devotion that I like to read, and then I also read through whatever Bible passage it is that I'm reading at the time. So I know plenty of people, my husband included, that he likes to read a proverb every day. There's 31 of them, which is pretty handy. So you can read one of those every day if you're not sure where to start and you want to read the Bible. There's some great apps. The Bible Recap is one that I'm hearing a lot about right now. If that's something that you want to do, to be a part of your meditation time, like I want to get scripture reading in, that would be a good way to do it. But there's also non-scripture based meditation books, and I did put links to a couple by authors that I've read, not necessarily Christian authors, but really great, just great authors that I've loved that have those self-reflection, devotional type books. So reading and prayer, obviously. And it's like, prayer maybe is a conversation. I think it's also opening yourself up to something a lot bigger than you, and allowing thoughts that maybe aren't entirely yours to come to you. So it also involves like active listening. So the last part of meditation that I wanted to bring to you today was mantras. I don't know a better word to say it, but even just something that you repeat over and over. I did put a list of that you can access, that you can go to, of positive self-affirmations. There's like pages of them in this. So it's like, if you want to do it as a spouse, as a parent, as a child, as a help, like fill in the blank, there's different affirmations in there for those things. And so maybe it's good for you to remind yourself of who you are every day. I have my own personal mission statement, like who I am and what I stand for and what I am doing, who I am. And I make sure to say that every day, just to remind myself, like, this is who I am and this is what I'm doing. This is what's important to me. So mantras. Oh, and then I practice memorizing scripture as well. Like right now I'm making a conscious effort to memorize promises of God. So the one that I'm focused on right now is my grace is sufficient for you. So I guess I just want to leave you with that today. That I believe that God's grace is sufficient for us all. And that if you find yourself in a situation where you're caring for someone that you love, or again, maybe it's not someone you love and it's just someone that you have to take care of, and it seems like it's about more than you can handle. I'm not about to sit here and say that God doesn't give you more than you can handle, because I don't think that that's true or biblical at all. But I do know that He's enough. So that's what I hope that you know today, and that you feel encouraged. I hope that you maybe walk away with some tools to take good care of yourselves. So if you're going to take good care of anybody else, you're going to have to take good care of yourself first. And maybe you do a really good job taking care of other people, but not so great at taking care of yourself. And I want to challenge you to take care of yourself like you're someone that you care about. Take care of yourself like you're someone that you care about, because you're worth it. And that person that you're caring about needs you too. So take good care of yourselves, my friends. Blessings to you.